Well, I felt very close to Irene because I had already made Commedia first. I guess I had this sense of shared history with her. I remember making Commedia, going back to my apartment in Rome and coming home in the evenings and looking in the mirror and feeling quite unsettled. I think I found Irene to be quite misunderstood and her sadness to be quite wanting. So going into Things and Other Things, I really wanted Irene to be as kind of reacting in real time as much as possible, keeping a sense of innocence to her, because she finds herself in this abandoned, surreal setting, wandering through with Rocco and kind of other strange characters and objects. A lot of it was kind of keeping her responding to things with a kind of lost, displaced, childlike innocence. Well, Riccardo sent me the script 6 months after releasing Commedia, saying this film has nothing to do with the previous film, but it was also connected in a surreal kind of way, where the film could come before or after the other one. And I like the idea of playing Irene again, but this time in a world with no rules, no consumerism, in a post-industrial world. Because the first film, we shot it in Rome in the dead of winter, set in a mental hospital, which was kind of inspired by Riccardo's work with therapy theatre. This film script in a way felt much more gentle and a kind of reminder to keep dreaming.
Questo film avevo mandato un piccolo scritto a Greta ed è un film che avrei fatto solo con Greta, perché era complicato, perché era molto delicato, appunto. Era una specie di bisogno di dipinto e aveva bisogno della forza di Greta, della sua determinazione, e potevo farlo soltanto con lei e siamo riusciti a farlo.
I think there's something really interesting about looking at objects and costumes outside of their usual context. For instance, there's a scene where Irene discovers this beautiful blue dress and she doesn't know what it is, and then the next time you see her, she's in a field on a bed of broken rubbish, and we see this sort of train of beautiful blue fabric, but on first glance it could almost be the sea, and then looking closer it then changes and it looks like it's the sails of a boat, and then we realize it's the dress. I think there's something really nice about having this visual contrast to the world and the film setting, because it makes you rethink everything.
Toothpicks, saints and teeth.
When Riccardo explained the script to me, he explained that the story did not have a logical narrative like a novel, but more of an illogical narrative like a poem, where there were moments which were unexplained and bits that felt sort of layered, and there was no real fixed viewpoint at times. I think I'm drawn to stories like this because there's something almost kind of dangerous about looking at the world without a fixed point of view. It forces you to rethink things and rediscover what you initially take as normal. So I think this form, it feels more like a poem or a dance than a traditional story. Well, I think Riccardo's really unique and interesting in that he's predominantly a theatre director working in movement theatre, in the same vein as Pina Bausch, but with text and voice. He has 20 years of experience with his with his theatre company Arte Studio of working as a kind of therapy theatre, going into mental hospitals, prisons, refugee camps across Italy, working with displaced and incarcerated people. And the script kind of mirrors that. It's a kind of Waiting for Godot-esque story.
Sì, il film si relaziona con il mondo di oggi, con il mondo reale, e che è un mondo molto veloce e molto economico. Il film invece vuole essere un contrattempo, cioè un tempo fermo, vuole fermare le persone, vuole fermare la velocità, vuole fermare gli oggetti, vuole fermare quello che sta succedendo o rotolando via velocissimamente per avere più consapevolezza degli accadimenti, e quindi c'è questo racconto di cose inutili e di tempo fermo.
I spend a lot of time on trains, and I find it sort of the most creative being in between two places, looking out of the window, because I think no matter kind of how many times you look through the window, there's always something new to discover. Children are great at reinventing places and with new secrets. And in a way, Rocco and Irene are just playing. They're not doing anything but playing.
Greta parla di un tempo magico, e era abbastanza difficile pensare di poter fare un film dove gli attori non fanno niente, e che questo fosse il tema del film. Ma in realtà il fare niente o il fermarsi dopo aver fatto qualcosa è il vero tempo sacro dell'essere umano, quindi è un tempo molto, molto importante. Quindi vediamo questi due personaggi che sono molto impegnati a far niente, ad aspettare qualcuno, qualcosa, forse loro stessi stanno aspettando il sé, il proprio sé, ma è un tempo molto, molto importante questo dell'attesa, del sapersi fermare, e Greta ha saputo raccontare questo con grande naturalezza, che era la cosa importante. Non potevamo recitare il far niente, dovevamo essere far niente, e penso che ci siamo riusciti.
I think it's important to remember that we're all just children, in a way, living in an impermanent world, that we are all displaced and more like travellers than we think, that language could only perhaps take us so far, and it's about the way we move together and think together, which is also just as powerful. I love the expression that my husband Robert says in his art pieces, all palaces are temporary palaces.
Toothpicks. Saints.
I hope audiences don't first see Irene's mental illness, but see someone who is truly living in the moment in a really pure and joyful way. And also I hope people are inspired by the film because it breaks so many conventions, where it's not just about the dialogue and quiet facial expressions, but the story is very much within the body and the dance and the synchronicity of movements.